Republican values and Democrat values. And Democrat values today are far different than they were when I lived in Duncanville. Back then they were Democrats, and then they were liberals, and then they were progressives. Today we are running against socialists who are trying to destroy the state of Texas. And we are not going to let big government socialists destroy our great state, because we're going to win in 2022. We're going to win because of one of the things that Angie Chimbutton talked about, and that is job creation. Texas ranks number one in so many categories. We have been ranked the number one state as the best state in America for doing business every year that I have been your governor. Every year that I've been your governor, Texas has won the Governor's Cup that goes to the state that ranks number one in America for the most new economic development projects. Texas is the economic development project engine of the United States of America. But just as important, listen, one thing we understand, and that is so many of our businesses, actually a majority of our businesses in Texas, are small businesses just like the one we are in today. And so, go Ben Franklin. So when I was here, speaking of Ben Franklin, when I was here, I actually worked at the other Ben Franklin over on Wheatland Road at the time. You remember that? Anyway, because small businesses are so important, we spend so much time and support for them. And I'm proud to tell you, as we gather in Duncanville today, Texas ranks the number one state in America to start a small business. When you add all these things up together, there's some amazing stats I want you to know about. One is that over the past 2 years, Texas has climbed the international rankings for our economy. The Texas economy now is more than $2 trillion per year, and we used to be the 10th largest economy in the world. As we gather in Duncanville today, Texas now has the 9th largest economy in the entire world. But what does that mean for you, the people of Duncanville or Dallas County? I'll tell you what it means for you. As we gather in Duncanville today, more Texans have a job than ever before in the history of our great state. I mentioned this to you because remember what I told you before, we have these radical leftist agenda folks who are trying to crush those jobs, especially in the oil and gas sector, with this Green New Deal that they are promoting that would destroy the energy sector that employs maybe more than 1 million Texans. We are not going to let the radical leftists destroy those jobs, because I am running for a re-election to ensure that we protect energy jobs in the great state of Texas. But listen, it's not just jobs. It's also education. The radical leftists have an agenda. They are using their radical leftist agenda to try to reframe what they do in educating our kids. You know, we're supposed to educate our kids, not indoctrinate our kids. When I graduated from Duncanville High, I had some tremendous teachers who taught me what I needed to learn to go on to college and go on to law school and go on to be your governor. Now these kids are being taught something that redesigns the past and redesigns the future of America. It's called critical race theory. Critical race theory is wrong because you cannot rewrite. You cannot rewrite American history. But even worse than that, the way critical race theory is, they pit people on the basis of color and then try to have people fight against each other on the basis of the color of their skin. That is un-American, but also is contrary. It's unconstitutional and contrary to what Martin Luther King Jr. himself taught us, and that is we are to be judged not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. That is what America stands for. So during this last regular session and then during a special session, I signed 2 laws that bans the teaching or use of critical race theory in every subject, in every grade, in every public school across the entire state of Texas. Texas now has the strongest ban on critical race theory of any state in the United States of America. Listen, you all know I went to Duncanville High School. I'm a big supporter of our public schools. I went to public school my entire life, and there is no governor who's provided more resources for our public education than I have. But that said, at the end of the day, we need to come to grips with the reality, and that is there is no government program that can replace the role that parents play in the education and health care of our children. Sure, I went to Duncanville High and got a great education, but my mom and dad, they were heavily involved in my education and also involved in the health care decisions that are made on behalf of their kids, which is more important today than it's ever been. And that is why I am running for re-election to pass a Parents' Bill of Rights that restore parents as the primary decision maker for their children's health care and education decisions. The most dangerous of these radical leftist agenda items, though, is the way that these leftists, like Beto O'Rourke, okay, I apologize. I got it wrong. People, leftists like Robert Francis O'Rourke, came out and they want to defund police. How crazy is that? Look at every community or state where they have defunded the police, and you see more crime.